Hey guys, LadyLibertyStacker, back for another video on successfully stripping these 3 skillets to pristine condition. Now these I picked up a couple of weeks ago when I went antiquing with my mom, and you have 3 skillets here, a number 6, a number 7, and number 8. They were in various states of disrepair or neglect, what have you. But didn't have a chance to really get to them until, up to Thanksgiving, and then I had to leave it go for a few days. Thanksgiving, we were very busy with not only the holiday, family birthday, other obligations. So I left them in the lye tank for a few days, and I got back to them here and want to show you how I did this. So this is what it looked like. The number 6 Wagner, filled with old seasoning and a little bit of rust on the bottom and on the cooking surface. It was dirty and needed to be stripped and cleaned out. Then you had a number 7 Wagner with rust and baked on seasoning, and the stuff that had caramelized on and what is known as warts had plenty of it on the cooking surface, which you'll see in a later video, and a ton of rust. This one was cheap, though. I got it for about $9 because of all the rust. Negotiated a better price. And then we have a number 8 Griswold, and I paid $25 for this one. Small logo, number 8. It had some rust, some built-on seasoning, small logo. And then on the cooking surface, you have a lot of caked-on crud. A lot of it, which you can see in the later part of the video. So, anyways, I went from all of that to this. Fully stripped these pans. They are all ready to be seasoned. I will tell you how I did it. I just did a variation on techniques I've used all along. Just thinking a little bit outside the box, and it actually does work without electrolysis, without an elaborate setup. But yep, you can do this if you have the patience to do it. All right, I'll be back. Hey guys, LadyLibertyStacker here. It is Friday, November 29th, 2019, and you're looking at my lye bath, and there's actually 2 skillets in there. My number 7 unmarked Wagner with the heat ring, and number 6 Wagner ware skillet that I'm actually in the process of stripping. They've been out of the lye tank. I check them periodically every day or so. You can leave skillets in a lye bath for a month without causing any harm to the skillets whatsoever. Now, lye is not quite as effective when the weather is colder, so they need to soak in there a little bit longer, and you need to have some patience, especially if you don't use electrolysis. So just to reiterate, I've had a lot of people ask about a lye setup. It's really not a big deal. This is a plastic container. I think it was like an 11 or 12 gallon, maybe a 10-gallon container. You just want to make sure it's big enough to put your skillets in when you have it set up. But basically the recipe is 5 gallons of water plus 1 pound of lye crystals. So in this setup, initially I started out with 5 gallons of water first, put cold water in there, and then you add 1 pound of lye crystals, which is basically nothing other than sodium hydroxide. That is also what is in Easy Off Heavy Duty Oven Cleaner. No big deal. There it is, 16 ounces or a pound. And at one point over the summer, I had a ton of skillets, so I needed to raise the lye bath a little bit, so I added 2.5 more gallons of water, 2.5 gallons of water, plus 1/2 container there, 1 cup of lye crystals, mixed it up, and then I had 7.5. You just want to make sure there's enough in there to cover any skillets that you're doing. But the skillets are in there. And there is one that I took out. I'm really working on the number 8 small logo Griswold, and I want to show you how it is looking. And wanted to show you that but if you go back and forth between the lye tank and a vinegar soak, that you can really deal with that stubborn seasoning, those dark warts they call them, that stick to the skillets. You can, if you're patient, you can get it off. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is pause the video, and I'm going to show you what I mean downstairs when I pull the other one out of vinegar. Okay, guys, we're down in the laundry room downstairs. This is the vinegar bath. It is actually, I think it's like a 60-40 solution, and I have my skillet in here, and you can see the outline of the rust in the skillet. That's what it'll look like, and actually I've used this bath going on 2 months now. Now, there is a point of no return. Well, the effectiveness will not be, it will stop working, removing rust and stubborn carbon seasoning. So that's when you swap it out, put new water in, you know, 3 gallons of water plus 3 gallons of vinegar plus 2 gallons of water. That's probably fine. You want a 60-40 or 55-45 combination. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out the skillet. This is what I'm working on. You can see it there. We're going to go ahead and pull it out. And there is the, and I'm not wearing my GoPro right now because I think I can control the camera a little bit better this way. Although, I'm going to have to set the camera down. Hey guys, sorry about that. So anyway, here is a skillet, and it's actually cleaned up really well. We're not done yet, though. You see the dark black seasoning that's still stuck to the pan. We need to keep soaking it in vinegar. And then what I've sometimes done is after I thoroughly wipe this down with a Brillo pad and soap, and this is an old Brillo pad I've actually done on the last couple of times. The soap is long gone, but you can actually, it's very effective at removing this old stubborn seasoning that's stuck on here. You can see that. It was much worse when I first removed it out of the lye bath. It was darker, it was up the sides of the skillet more, and it was around the edge further. That is looking really, really good. But the whole idea is you can take it back and forth. You just have to make sure that you thoroughly rinse with water and soap, and you want to neutralize any lye before it goes into the, the vinegar will help neutralize the lye, but you want to try to neutralize as much as possible so the vinegar will work on it the way it's supposed to. And then when this thing is scrubbed down with your Brillo pad and such, that, once you scrub this down, sometimes that's as good as it's going to get in the meanwhile, so you put it back in lye. Lye will soften the remainder of what's there. You can leave it in lye for another couple of days. Or if you have to, you have a lot of things going on, you don't want to leave it into vinegar indefinitely because it could eat into the metal. I've never had that happen to me, but you don't want to leave it unchecked. So if you are going to be tied up for a while, you can throw it into a lye tank without worrying about it. But in this case, you just want to make sure that you neutralize it either way, back and forth. You just rinse it really good, scrub it down with soap or Brillo pad, steel wool and Dawn, whatever you have on hand, and get it to where you want. Now this, I just scrubbed it down before I did the video, and you can see that it is a Griswold. It is a number 8. And it's Erie, PA, and 704Y, and this is a flat pan, beautiful pan. These are very, very smooth on the interior. And go ahead and take the camera with the glove tan. Very smooth, but I want to get this smoothed out, and I don't really want to take a wire wheel to it, not in a pan like this. So you just got to be patient, and you got to really work it, and there's nothing wrong with going back and forth. So I wanted to show you that as a basis for the next clip that you're going to see as this eventually comes off, and then I can go ahead and dry it and season it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the tank here, and I'm going to go ahead and stick it back in, and there it is. Didn't do a whole lot to it for this clip, but I wanted to show you that this is actually working really well. That's my tank, my empty basin downstairs. So that's it for now. I just wanted to show you that, and I'll be back when I pull it back out of vinegar later on.
Okay guys, it's the next morning. I am back, and I'm going to go ahead and put on my thick rubber gloves. We're going to check on this skillet here that's been put in vinegar, and you can see the outline of the skillet from the rising vinegar. I normally take the time to skim that off, but for the sake of the video, I will leave it. And we're going to go ahead and adjust the camera so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to go ahead and rinse it off. More rust has come off. And what we're trying to get rid of is the built-up carbon seasoned warts on the cooking surface of the skillet. So I'm going to rinse my gloves off too. You don't really need gloves to work with vinegar, but I don't like to get all the gunky stuff on my fingernails. That's yuck. So here it is. You can see there it is around the edge. And this really isn't time consuming. It's just, we're going to go ahead and use this other Brillo pad here. The old one. I try to get as much mileage out of these as possible. It saves money and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and scrub it down some more. And we're going to see how much comes off. And the vinegar bath is getting to the point now where it's not as strong, so you can leave it in for longer periods of time without worrying about causing any damage to your skillet. But as soon as it becomes non-effective, if you have more of this old carbon seasoning that's just stuck on here, then it might be a good idea to swap out the vinegar bath and start over. And I just drain it down. I just take it out and I put it down the drain. And I start out with 3 gallons of vinegar and 2 gallons of water and try to keep it 60-40. Or you can do it 55-45, you know, whatever. It's just the stronger, you're just going to have to monitor it more closely. And I'm getting a lot of this stuff off. It doesn't take much time, really. And I know some people that do electrolysis think this takes a lot of time. It really doesn't. Because it's just a brief scrubbing in between soakings. And you soak, you go on about your business and do other stuff. So we're going to go ahead and give it a rinse. And I'm going to rinse out my Brillo pad. You can see all the dark carbon coming off of that. You know that we still have work to do when you see that happen. So we're going to take this out. And you can see, it's hard to see, you know, with the angle of this, but you can see it come off. I'll go ahead and show you close up what this actually looks like. It's looking a lot better. I'm still going to soak it some more. A little bit there. I just want to get my cooking surface as smooth as possible and get this all off. So I'm going to do a little bit more work on it. Just do the back side, but just wanted to let you show how just sometimes you just repeated soaking. Now sometimes what I will do is once it's come off as much as it's going to come off in here, I then put it back into lye. Let the lye go to work on what's remaining and soften it, and put it back into vinegar. It's a process, but it's not really time consuming. It just takes a while to do, as far as letting it ferment, if you will. The process, the waiting time is what takes time, where electrolysis may be faster. Everybody swears by that, but some people just don't have the setup for it. So anyway, that's where we're at with this right now. I'll be back to show you more results later. Okay guys, I'm back again. Now I've got all 3 of my skillets. I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera so you can see, soaking in lye. And I'm going to go ahead and put them in my drip pan. It's a 7-quart plastic drip pan that I got at the dollar store. And this has been extremely helpful for me, extremely helpful. And I just actually picked up a second one, always to have a nice backup on hand. And I actually use that to transport back and forth between vinegar, lye, etc. So we're going to go ahead and take these skillets out of the lye tank. And this is what I got when I was antiquing with my mom. So we're going to go ahead, and there is a number 6 Wagner. I'll go ahead and put that on top. I always stack them in here. And you can stack as many as the lye will cover in the lye tank. And then there's a number 7 unmarked. And then those 2 cleaned up pretty easily. I just had more issues with the number 8 small logo Griswold, and here it is. You really can't see it. So I'll go ahead and put it here. And I'm going to stack them on top of each other and take them into the kitchen where you guys can see a little bit better. And we're going to scrub them out with a Brillo pad, water. And I have Barkeeper's Friend. And we're going to give that a try to get any rust off, any baked on seasoning. So, all right, so there it is. I'm going to go ahead and put this down so I can turn off the GoPro. And I will be back when I'm in the kitchen sink, guys. Okay, guys, I am back in the kitchen sink. And I have a Scotch-Brite pad. I'm just going to go ahead and just start to rinse this out. This is the number 6 Wagner. And this one cleaned up pretty good. These were all in really good condition. And I just got more SOS pads at the grocery store. And you can see the dark coming off the pad here. one wasn't the problem. The number 7 unmarked Wagner wasn't the problem. The number 8 small logo Griswold was the one that had the built-up seasoning on it. So these went back and forth between the lye and vinegar a couple of times. Lye to soften and remove the built-up layers of seasoning, and the vinegar to really get into, after it's been softened, get into the stubborn carbonized seasoning that wouldn't actually come off real easily. But yeah, this is looking pretty good. And then what I did with the number 8 is I went back and forth several times, and then right around Thanksgiving, when I wasn't going to have any more time to work on these skillets, they all went back into lye. You can keep them into lye for a month or more without causing any harm. So, yeah, this is pretty good. So, at any rate, we're going to go ahead and just dry it off. And we're going to get to the second one. So, go ahead and just take a paper towel, dry it off, and it's looking pretty good. You can see what's softened is coming off on the paper towel. And what I'll do is I'll get this really dry with the paper towel, and then I'll just spray it with a coat of canola cooking oil spray. And that's looking pretty good. And we'll see how it looks after the oil's on. If I still don't like it, I'll go back in vinegar or lye. There's a little bit of pitting on the bottom, but it's essentially a very smooth bottom. Over time, the seasoning will fill in the small pitted areas. Not a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and put this over here. I'm actually working on a pair of shoes right now for resale. I clean them, condition them, and all that kind of stuff. That's what you saw there. So now we're going to work on the next one is an unmarked Wagner. So we're going to go ahead and work on this. And it still has some stubborn seasoning in here, which is going to have to come off. So what we're going to do and now it's been neutralized with lye. I rinsed these off when I took them out of the tank, off camera, so no lye remains. So what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle a little bit of Barkeeper's Friend, and I'll show you how this works here. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little on the skillet. It removes see all that goop come off. I may need to put this back into lye some more. I kind of thought it had cleaned up okay, but there's still more coming off. If you have this stuff coming off on your steel wool or whatever you're using to scrub this with, you know it needs a little bit more work. Alright, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing on the cooking interior, and you can see how it's built up there. May need to put it back into lye. And these are stubborn pans, and you never know when you see it in the shop. We're going to go ahead and scrub it off really good with Barkeeper's Friend. You can use that. You can use a vinegar soak. You know, you got to think, sometimes you have to think outside the box. And this one's a little bit more stubborn than the number 6 Wagner, so I may put this one in vinegar. I may go back in lye, we'll see. But you gotta think outside the box. And lye is just not as effective in the colder weather. You can see all that come off. Pretty smooth, but it still needs to come off. There's a couple of warts there, here, and here. So we're gonna put that into vinegar. And I just didn't have time to monitor it, but I'm gonna be home the next 2 or 3 days, so there's no harm in doing that when you have time to monitor it. So that's gonna go back into vinegar. And the other one, I want to go ahead and spray it down. Take a look at it under the light here. That is pretty stripped down. And that looks real good. We don't want flash rust to start developing, so we are going to make sure to wipe it off really good. And when you got 3 of them going, you just have to, be careful what you do and think carefully. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this one. Okay, I'll go ahead and do it over here. And go ahead and wipe it on there. Just wipe it on real good. It'll prevent any rust from developing. Because it will tend to develop, because it's stripped. And when the metal like that meets oxygen, it oxidizes and forms rust. Yep. So you want to make sure you prevent that. So go ahead and do the handle. Don't want the handle to rust. Okay, we'll do that. And then we'll do the interior. Go ahead and do the handle. Just spraying a light coat of oil on. Olive oil, cooking spray, whatever you have on hand. Just make sure it's on there and thoroughly covered. You just want to prevent the flash rust, which will occur. And from this stage of the game, I then put it in the oven right away to season, warming up the pan, once it has a thin coat of oil on. This isn't seasoning oil, it's just to prevent the flash rust. So, okay, let's take it over and look at it. There it is, stripped down pan. There's a couple spots I missed, so I'm going to go back and grab that. Alright, there. And this is going to be a real nice pan when it's done. Hopefully all of them are. A little bit of pitting over there on the right, but on some of this stuff it's really hard to prevent. It's really hard to get one that hasn't pitted to a degree. Just spraying it on there, and there's a little pitting here. It's what the discoloration is. Doesn't matter so much if it's at the side of your cooking surface or in the back. And over time, seasoning is going to fill it in anyway. Not a big deal at all, guys. So many people make so much more over that than is necessary. Okay, we're going to put that there. And we're going to see how it looks after a while. And now we are going to take, that one's going back into the lye. And this one here, we're going to go ahead and try to clean up. We're going to get an SOS pad out. And the Scotch-Brite pads are good. But if you really want tough action on your pans, then we'll get a Brillo pad from underneath the sink. These are my favorite. They do an excellent job. They have a little bit of pink soap on them. They are rust resistant. See if it says anything about that on here. But you can see pink pads. They hold up better than SOS. So we're going to go ahead and do this one and see how it comes out. Getting better. It's taken several cycles, and even electrolysis might take a little while longer to do this, but I've been basically scrubbing like this and then putting it back into lye. Haven't been using vinegar all that much because there's not all that much rust on here, and what little rust there is, the Brillo pad can deal with, so can the barkeeper's friend. Let me go ahead and adjust that so you can see what I'm doing. And you saw the clip earlier with this stuck on carbonized seasoning, old carbonized seasoning, and it on the back should be no big deal. The back is very smooth. This is a small logo Griswold number 8. I have a number 7, and I just recently sold the number 3, and they were smooth cooking surface. My number 1 go-to pan for omelets and scrambled eggs. Even though I got the new Blacklock, Blacklock's fine, it's convenient, but I like to treat myself and use my number 7. This is slightly larger. This is about 10 inches, number 8. You can see there that logo. You can see all that coming off. And this is doing a lot better. Lye is working. You just got to scrub it off, get all the old stuff off, and then what it'll do is it'll go to work on what was underneath. It'll start attacking that, softening that, and keep going back and forth. You can get it all off. I may even go back and do a couple of my old pans and just strip them again. my number 7. Griswold was one of those that had really, really stubborn warts on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and rinse this off and do it again. It's looking really good. We had about an inch or so, 3/4 of an inch or so coming out on the cooking surface of this black crud, and about a half inch up on the sidewalls. It was really bad. And I just kept going back and forth, and you know, some people think this is time consuming. It really isn't. I mean, you do a little bit of scrubbing like this, and then you just soak it some more. You know, you do other things while it's soaking. It's not a big deal. A lot of people think it's, you know, so much elbow grease. Well, for me, that's half the fun. I love seeing this stuff clean up. I really do. I love it. So we're going to go ahead and rinse that off. And if it goes back into lye, I'll do a video tomorrow or when I pull them back out, when they're all ready to be seasoned, and show you what they look like. This one's looking pretty daggone good. Okay, let's go back over in the light where you can see just a couple little warts on there. For the most part, it's stripped. You can see the small logo there. A little bit of rust on the edge. Okay guys, I'm back. We are going to go ahead and get the number 8 Griswold out of here. What I did yesterday was I decided to put the number 7 in the vinegar bath and put that number 8 back into lye to soften it some more. The number 7 is now done. The number 8 is going to come out of the vinegar bath. So I'm going to go ahead and reach in here. You can see how it's gone to work. Electrolysis tank will look similar to that. You know, when you pull everything out. Let me go ahead and adjust this down so you can see. What I'm going to do is rinse it off real good. And I think it's about done. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and put it here so you can see. I grab my Brillo pad. And we're going to go ahead and start giving it a little scrub. And believe it or not, guys, going back and forth between vinegar and lye seems to work real well. What I've noticed is that the lye will soften what's underneath, and then sometimes the vinegar will help remove it. And I'm just debating how much more to give it. At some point, your efforts yield diminishing returns, but you can see that most of the crud is coming off, and once you start seasoning the pan, you won't even notice it. So we're just going to go all the way around. You want it all off. I'm on top of the washing machine right now because right now I'm doing it downstairs. And when these are all stripped, I will show you what the results look like. And I'm pretty close to being done. I just have to, if you're watching it now, I'm all done. So we're going to go ahead and turn our water back on. Rinse it out. You can see all the dark down there. You can see the dirt coming out of the Brillo pad. Now we're going to go ahead and scrub the bottom. Just make sure that we have everything off of the bottom. Actually, the bottom's been pretty good all throughout. And here is the bottom. It seems like the logo and everything is really, really faint compared to the large logo Griswolds. I think that's why they're not as collectible, per se. But these pans are actually terrific. When they were making these, they're very smooth. And I think this one is pretty much done. Okay, I'm rinsing off, doing the top. It's hard to see. I don't really want to grab the camera right now because my hands are wet with water and old seasoning. So we're going to go ahead and rinse it off again. Now watch the Brillo pad. Look at all that stuff that's coming off. We're going to take it upstairs. We're going to give it a once over. Okay. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I've gotten most of it off that I want to get off, so I will return. I'll be back. Okay guys, I'm back up here in the kitchen, and we're going to go ahead and give it a once over here. the sink here. And I'm going to go ahead and tilt it where you can see it. And this is another Brillo pad that I had up here. And if, you know, there's a point, like I said before in the last clip, that you get to the point of diminishing returns and you're getting most everything off. But you know you've stripped a skillet well when number one, it develops flash rust fairly quickly after you're done stripping it and drying it off with a towel, and you can start to see it rust up. So yeah, number one. And number two, when you go to season it and it just soaks up that seasoning like crazy, you know you did a really good job stripping it, because it's just raw metal and it's just dying to soak up that seasoning. So we're just doing everything here. We're just going ahead and giving it a final rub down, because I think it's pretty good. There's no warts left. And I'm thinking with this method that I'm using now, I'm thinking I'm going to go back and redo a couple of my old pans that have warts on. One I've got listed and it just hasn't sold, and maybe people don't like that wart on the back of it. It just hasn't sold, and I've sold a ton of cast iron. I mean, a lot of cast iron, not a ton of it, but a lot of cast iron. And that piece is just simply not moving. It's also common. It's a smaller size. The larger sizes actually do well, and the rare sizes do well, because people don't see them every day. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a rinse off. You can see the black coming out of that. That's pretty much spent. And we're going to go ahead, whoops, coffee strainer, whatever. Okay, now, I am going to,
Okay guys, we're back. This is the final result before I seasoned, stripped all 3 pans. This one is the Wagner Ware Sydney O, number 6, model 1056Z. And a little bit of pitting, mild pitting on the back, doesn't affect the cooking at all. That's the cooking surface, totally gorgeous, nice and very smooth. Doesn't spin, sits flat, there's no wobble whatsoever. So that's ready to go. And then we have the number 7 unmarked Wagner. You can see the trademark handle there. Outside heat ring, there weren't that many of these. They were done a little bit earlier. But it had a big, dark, baked-on seasoned area, big circle right there. There might be a little bit of warp on the pan, but it does sit flat. If you allow it to heat up, it'll cook just fine. And there it is. Interior cooking surface is good to go, oily and slick. But I had to spray it on these pans to prevent them from flash rusting. And the better you strip a pan, the more apt they are going to flash rust on you, so you need to do that. And finally, this is a number 8 Griswold, small logo. This had a lot of baked on the interior. You can see it's down to gunmetal gray. Most of everything is gone. A little bit of pitting there. It's not going to impact the cooking. Extremely smooth. So we're all ready to season. And the better you strip, you gotta put oil on after you dry the pans with a paper towel to prevent flash rust until you can season them. Now these would be okay if I didn't season them for 2 or 3 days, but I'm going to get to it pretty soon. If you want to see that video, let me know. If you want to see more videos like this, please give us a thumb up and leave a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks, and go make it a great day.